Welcome to Heal the World Show podcast, brought to you by the Healing Institute. I'm Camelia Parham. I'm the founder and the CEO of the Healing Institute, and we are an worldwide online hub of holistic practitioners. We are out to heal the world. We have a big ask, but we are up for it, and we want to give people hope. We want people to know that there are ways to be well and to stay well on their health journey, because we know we're all on a health journey. So let's make it a proactive one, not a reactive one. Now, I've been working and using holistic health for well over 30 years, and I know it works. And that's why one of the reasons why I created the Healing Institute. And I'm calling it an institute because I'm really passionate about educating people about how they can be well and how they can stay well. And so we really have a wonderful directory of holistic practitioners who get to the root cause of what's going on, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, whatever it is that you want to work on, they're going to get to the root cause. And I think that's where our allopathic medical area has maybe let us down a little bit, because they only dealt with symptoms. They weren't really dealing with what the root cause, what was causing that symptom of, physical discomfort or mental anguish. So you might wonder why this is so important to me. And I always love to tell this story because we had a tragedy in our family a number of years ago when my mom passed away at a very young age. She was only 61. And it was due to complications of a medication that she had been taking. And she'd been on this medication for a very long time. So not once were we ever made aware that being on that medication for a long time would compromise her kidneys. So unfortunately, she got very ill very quickly. It was right before Christmas. I was 5 months pregnant with my son, my first child. And not only was it a tragedy that she died so young, but also that my children didn't get to meet their grandmother. And I don't want that happening for other families. So that's why I'm really passionate about educating people about all the alternate ways that we can be well and then can stay well. And one of the reasons why I created the Healing Institute. And each week we have on the podcast, the Heal the World Show podcast, I invite someone to come and talk about their area of expertise as my guest co-host. Today, I am so delighted to have Dr. Dorothy Martin-Neville, who is here, and we are going to be talking about transformational leadership, which, that is part of being healthy. And the reason we're doing that is because my theme for November is transformational health. So welcome, Dr. Dorothy. It's lovely to have you here today.
Thank you so much. It's a joy to be here.
So tell us just a little bit about yourself and how you got into this area of health and wellness.
Well, I'm a psychologist, and I started off in my career many years ago seeing 42 patients a week. And about 3 years in, I started to notice that there was a pattern. Certain personalities were coming in with breast cancer, and certain personalities with ovarian issues, certain personalities with autoimmune disorders. And when I talked to friends who were MDs, they told me it was all coincidental. And I knew it wasn't coincidental. So I went and became certified in 9 different modalities of integrative healthcare. 5 of them were in Eastern medicine. And I then brought a massage table into my office and started doing energy medicine, doing energy work with my patients who presented with physical illness. Do a half an hour of therapy, then a half an hour of energy work to really integrate the healings, integrate the therapy into their bodies to release whatever issues were going on, and discovered so many healings taking place, so many abilities for them to cancel surgery. Not they, but their physicians to cancel surgery. And they would hear, well, the MRI must have been wrong, the X-ray must have been wrong, something was wrong, and because there's nothing there now. And so that really intrigued me beyond words. I ended up opening up a school. I was blessed with a 6-month waiting list from about 3 months into my practice.
Wow.
It lasted for almost 20 years till I left the country, actually. And so what ended up happening is that I opened up a school. It was a 4-year program in energy medicine, the Institute of Healing Arts and Sciences. and teaching physicians, nurses, OTs, PTs, and lay people who wanted to become healers, Reiki masters, and so forth, who wanted to become develop a deeper level of healing, a deeper skill set. And I had it for 19 years, and really taught about the psychological and spiritual causes of disease, because it was so
Absolutely.
apparent
So
to me.
you were a pioneer in your
I
day.
really was a
Um,
pioneer, and Barbara Brennan and I were the only two that had a 4-year training program in energy medicine. And Barbara just considered allopathic medicine an anathema. She would have nothing to do with it. But my students, my third and fourth year students, required to do medical internships in a medical facility. It could have been a rehab facility, it could have been a hospital in whatever state or country they came in, because they flew in from a few different countries and all over this country to study with me. So it was really an amazing blessing to be able to offer that to people from so many different countries around the world.
well, and today we do know that what is going on with our emotions, and and the energy that we have in our bodies, and around us, our environment, we do know that that has a direct effect on our physical well-being. There's many studies that have come out since then, showing the science behind it. I still believe we're kind of in the pioneer stage where we are trying to get mainstream society to understand this. But again, it's not something we're taught from a very young age.
No, no. Well, for a number of reasons. Even in the hospitals that have integrative health departments, they require the practitioners to volunteer. They don't hire
Right.
integrative health practitioners as paid, respected full-time staff members. They are volunteers that will go up and do a healing or do acupuncture or acupressure
Mhm.
with it. And now some insurance companies will cover acupuncture, but they
Yes.
will not cover acupressure or healing work. So when we are ready, and it takes time, because every once in a while a student will call and say, hey, Dr. D, remember what they taught us 20 years ago? They've now discovered that it really works. And, I'm so glad for them. I'm so
It's
glad.
validating in one way, but frustrating that they didn't believe you in
Frustrating.
the other way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm blessed that the many, people the hundreds and hundreds of people I've taught, but oh my goodness, if we could have taught the world, but we're moving ahead. We're moving ahead slowly, but we're moving ahead. But it really is important, because now they do accept unequivocally that stress is one of the
Mhm.
major causes of all
Mhm.
disease in this country. And stress really is a byproduct of our belief system,
It is.
because
Absolutely.
even Nelson Mandela, he said they entrapped my body but not my soul or my heart.
Mhm.
So he lived at peace. So no matter what we are going through, we can be at peace. And divorce can become a reason for cancer. It can become a reason for experience of freedom and moving on to the next stage of your journey. Losing a job can be being laid off, whatever that may be, could be the opportunity to start new, doing something different, or envisioned as the end of your life where everything will be horrible. So
Exactly.
what's your perception? It isn't what you go through, it's how you perceive what you go through in the journey.
I agree. Absolutely. Well, I want to welcome Marie Piplovic, who is one of our healers on the Healing Institute hub. Marie's a conscious breathing facilitator, an amazing conscious breathing facilitator. I've been able to take part in some of her breathing exercises. And she also really helps women who are in that midlife transition. Sometimes we get to a certain point in our life where we've been defined as being, the wife, the mother, a certain business that we've had or a job that we've had. And then we get to the point where that's not really keeping us happy anymore. And so she really takes her patients and her clients through that transition. So she's got a few questions here. First of all, she wants to know if your school is still active.
No, I had my school for 19 years, and the school itself, the structure and with dozens of employees and 1099s, that's over. However, I do on request go do weekend long or week long conferences where I will do workshops and training programs for folks who want to learn a far deeper level of healing work. Yeah.
Beautiful. And we were talking just before the show started. You were in France recently
Yes, I
at
was.
one of your clients invited you to the conference. So
Right.
that's really an awesome way to see the world, is to
It really is. Yeah.
So one of this, Marie also has a comment here about science has to catch up. And I know a few years ago, I was going there here on Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada, where I live. There was a science and spirituality conference. And I was all excited because the people that were coming to the conference were Dr. Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, Dr. Joe Dispenza, who, if you could see my bookcase
Yeah.
behind me, those are, I've
Right.
been reading their books and following them for a number of years. And I remember saying to someone, "Oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to this science and spirituality conference." And they looked at me strangely and said, "Is that not an oxymoron, like science and spirituality?" And I'm like, "No, no, it goes together so perfectly. It really, the
Right.
science behind the spirituality makes this, if you're kind of not quite 100% believer, it makes you understand how it all works." So
Right.
she said, another great question here from Marie is, have you noticed how people really hang on tight to perceptions and
Right.
beliefs? And how do you help them release that white knuckle
White
grip?
knuckle grip. Oh, I agree with you, Maria. It is a white knuckle grip for some. What I do for starters is they came to see me for a reason. And if we're going to look at why they came to see me, it's usually is to free them. So there's a part of them that wants that freedom and that health. And there's another part that's frightened of letting go of their worldview.
Mhm.
Because our beliefs, our worldview that life is difficult and then you die, or life is a struggle, or whatever our belief systems may be, allow us to feel safe. Because if we know what that belief system is, we hold on tight. So how do I help them release it? I'll ask them how their belief systems have impacted them now. How have their belief systems supported them getting to where they're going? And if they want to go further, let's take a look at another option. And I will provide options that are specific to them, but just as a generalization. If the belief is that life is horrible and then you die, what about those moments in their life that they've had where they felt absolutely free? Or those moments in their lives when they had hope? And because we've all had experience, some of us live in that place, but some of us have visited those places. And why did they choose to hold on to that? And I will go right back and make it really clear and pragmatic. Our moms told us never to eat before meals. And yet, how many of us have had appetizers? Right? And we've been told
Yes.
never to talk to strangers. Those of us in business are talking to strangers all the time. So, whatever belief systems they're holding on to that they learned from childhood, they've chosen to hold on to because they released these other belief systems. So, why did they choose to hold on to the ones they did that are now impeding their development and their health? And when they can begin to see, like, oh, you're right, I did give up those belief systems, and you're right, then I did choose to keep these. Why did I choose? Because frequently we don't realize it's a choice, that our belief systems are a choice. And when
That's
I can show
correct. Yeah.
them they've given up some, why are they holding on to the ones they're holding on to? And we only hold on to them when they serve a purpose. And frequently that purpose is safety.
Mhm.
If I
Yeah.
hold on to the belief that life is a struggle and then you die, or life is difficult and then you die, I don't have to take a risk of believing life is a gift. I don't have to
Well,
take
and
it.
I certainly have a session that I do with my clients to help them I call it realigning their beliefs.
Right.
So it's a very simple process that I take people through. It's kind of identifying what that belief is that's no longer serving them,
Right.
which, personally happened for me. And
Mhm.
then and asking questions, just like you're saying, ask the question, well, why are you hanging on to that belief? Where did it come from? Oftentimes, as you just mentioned, we're hanging on to these beliefs that we were raised with, and we don't know where they came from. We don't know
Right.
why, a simple analogy is why grandma cut the cabbage in half and put it in a smaller pot. Well, when you ask the question, it was like, well, that was the only size pot she had, and it was too small for, for
Right.
the whole head of cabbage. So, when we re-examine that and look at and we're aware and we're being a bit more introspective about why, when we're not in that place of joy.
Right.
And as you were mentioning, where we all do, whether you think that life is terrible and you're going to die, I'm sure people have also had times when they were very joyful. And so
Right.
looking back at why is that not happening all the time? And then re-examining exactly why you got there. And then
And then,
realizing it's not your belief.
right. And
It's
then
mom's
teaching them
belief or
about,
dad's belief or grandma's belief, and it's not your
right.
belief anymore.
And teaching them about energy, that
Yes.
we can shift our energy in a split second into an energy of excitement and passion, or we can change our energy to defeat and struggle. You know, that energetically just sitting up and changing, we change how we feel energetically. When you change your energetics, you change your belief systems, you change your reality, because you change your connection to yourself and to the earth around you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've certainly learned from Marie, breathing very much takes you onto that path once you're doing that
Right.
deep breathing and being connected with your breath and your body. That really helps shift. If,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, we're all not in uh, Pollyanna moods all the time, but when we do get into sort of a, let's say, less positive situation or thinking of what's going on in our life, it's just changing the thoughts that we're having to more positive thoughts and beliefs.
And even if that's difficult to do,
Mhm.
if I, and thankfully it's rare, but if I ever go into a place where I'm feeling down or feeling depressed or feeling something, I know, this is with emotional intelligence, I know that if I put in the film, the CD for Mamma Mia, I love that
Yes.
movie. It's just one of the best. I literally have probably watched it 80 to 90 times, but I will put it in. And as soon as I hear the music,
You can't help
my
but
whole
want to
body,
dance
my
and
whole
sing
body
along.
shifts into, right, my body just catches up with, I love to dance. My body catches up with the music. And I know that if I'm starting down that hill, that spiral that we can go into with negativity or depression or whatever it may be, and I put that on, I don't have to think. It doesn't even take a thought shift. It's just an energy that picks me right up. And all of a sudden, life is a gift again. And once life is a gift again, I didn't have to do a lot of processing. I didn't have to do a lot of anything. I'm brought up with the sound of that music. It's an instantaneous response in my body. And from that better place, I can say, what just happened? What
Mhm.
what made me go down there? And now I can see it in perspective and change that belief around whatever that was, or that perspective about around whatever that was. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Because it is possible for us to do that,
Right.
for us to make that change. So
I saw this question.
Marie
Here
says,
she
I
put
notice
in.
when I'm tired, it's easy to unintentionally take on energy of others. So what one technique do you use to keep yourself from taking on the energy from others that doesn't serve you? That's a great
What
question.
I do is bring back my realization that every one of us is walking our own journey. Every one of us
Yes.
has come in here with very particular life lessons to learn. And if their life lesson to learn is to be alive, to live rather than survive this journey, if the life lesson they came in here to learn was to recognize that they've never walked a moment of this journey alone, that whether it's the universe or the Holy Spirit, whatever their faith system, it doesn't matter, that they have had somebody walking with them from the moment of conception, and putting that realization out there, this is their journey. This is the life lesson they came here to teach. That gives me permission to really separate and not get hooked into their
Mm.
energy when I think, oh, God bless, they chose to learn some of these things the hard way. You know, how can
Yes.
I help them not do that? You know, how can I help them not have to do and not have to learn in the hardest way possible? But it has nothing to do with me. My journey's over here. Their spiritual journey's
Yes.
there. And another visualization I use is if you can visualize yourself sitting in this chair here. I'm sitting in a chair right now, just sitting up straight. Over there in the far side of the room is the life I've created. Over there on the far side of the room are my children, are my relationships, my friendships, my parents and my brothers and sisters, my career, all those interests I have, my puzzle on the kitchen table. All of that is a lifestyle I've created. That's over there. I'm over here. So when I am very separate from the life I've created, and I've created that life, which is why I'm so much more powerful than it, because I was capable of creating it. And when we look at that life I created, I can shift and change it at any moment in time. I'm over here. Is there something in that life I've created that I need to shift that's bringing me into an unhealthy place emotionally, spiritually, or physically? You know,
Absolutely.
and that's really a wonderful visualization that allows us to see we created the journey we're walking. Do we need to change any part of it? We didn't make a mistake. We learned from it, but is it time to let that go? And now our life lesson in learning is about releasing what no longer serves us.
I love that. That's beautiful, Dorothy. One of my aha moments when I first started studying energy work, and I was very fortunate to meet a wonderful woman who I'd studied under her for 8 years. She kind of was able to teach me all the language that I needed, the to actually describe what I intuitively knew for many, many years, but I didn't have the language to describe it. But
Right.
one of my ahas was that I have attracted everything to myself that I have, the good
Mhm.
and I can call it the
You
bad,
did.
but
Yeah.
it was, I started to look at let's call it the negative, because at the time I started studying her with her, I was in a not very joyful spot. And I was like, okay, but this is a lesson. I obviously attracted this for a reason, the lesson
Right.
to learn. And that made a complete shift. No more blaming anybody else, no more trying to not take
Oh, good.
responsibility.
Good for you. Boy, doesn't that change everything?
Oh, it did.
Right. Oh
Like it
my
was like
goodness.
a 360-degree shift.
Yeah.
And
And of empowerment also, because I
absolutely.
chose to bring this in. I brought in this person that treats me like dirt. I brought in this job that doesn't fit me at all. I brought in whatever it may be. And if I brought it in, I can release it.
You can let it
And
go, and then you
yeah,
can learn what the lesson was and not repeat it,
right.
hopefully.
And it didn't happen to me. Nobody did this to me. I made
No,
that choice,
no,
right?
that's right.
I
Yeah.
made that choice to bring that person in or that situation
And
in.
I think certainly in people that I've met along the way in my life often are trying to put the blame on someone else. They're trying to
Right.
look for an excuse and not take the responsibility as to why their life is the way they are. And so, or the way they're not happy in it. But once I believe people do make that shift and do understand that it's their life, just as you were saying, you created it, you created all those pieces and parts of your life.
But notice how that illusion of powerlessness, and it's an
Mhm.
illusion, how that illusion of powerlessness causes us to slow down our energy pattern.
Yes,
Illusion of powerlessness causes us to collapse into ourselves. And that is where spiritual, emotional, and physical disease begins. Because
absolutely.
the moment they're doing this to me, I end up in a place where I'm a victim. And then if I'm a victim, I'm going to feel depressed or angry or something. And I hold on to that too long and I'm going to have a physical ramification.
Mhm.
So coming back here to the
Absolutely.
spiritual belief, there is no victim over here.
No.
Why did I bring this abusive person in or this job that just doesn't fit who I am? Why did I bring it in? Maybe out of desperation because I had a belief that
Mhm.
this was going to save me from myself or save me from the horrors of life, when in fact they rarely do, you know? So let's step back and look at my belief of desperation and how can I make a choice not from desperation, but from empowerment, from a place of knowing I'm bringing in what I choose.
Yes, beautiful. And Marie's got a lovely comment here. She loves that. Me, be me, and let them let them be them. And she really loves your visualization, separating self from the creation of the art of life. Personal responsibility equals empowerment. Absolutely. Oh, she has one more great question here. How do you respond to those that always find fault or criticism in what you do or say or be, as that is a big energy in our world right now, and having tools to stay in our safe bubble would be great.
When I have somebody in my life who comes in that way that is full of criticism against me, and thankfully extremely rare, that is all full of criticism and knowing I really don't know anything and I don't know what I'm talking about and energy isn't real and I'm making all of this new agey stuff up. I simply will say, again, this is who I am in my chair, right? And I'll simply say, well, clearly we see the world in a different place. Don't annoy yourself by being around somebody who is so unlike you. And
Yeah.
I'll do the same. Because if my belief system is offensive to you, or I'm always wrong, there's no reason for you to be here because I'm going to bring you down. I'm going to make you angry or depressed. And I don't choose to have that in my life either. So it has been a blessing to meet you. We've really learned a lot because we have it, we choose to see it. And that's not who I choose to be or how I choose to live my life. If it's a client I'm working with, I will say to them clearly, a part of you wants to be here with me or you wouldn't have come. And
Mhm.
that's part of you that really has a hard time receiving. So let's look at the part of you that has a hard time receiving what it is I have to say. Either you can use discernment and believe I'm completely wrong, then save your time and money and go to somebody who believes exactly as you do, who will allow you to stay exactly where you are. Or recognize that part of you that wanted to come and see me, and how can we support that part becoming so much larger? What can I do to support you having more faith in the choices you're making?
Yes, beautiful. I love that. So very important for us to recognize people where they're at, meet them where they're at. And
Absolutely.
if they've chosen to come and interact with us with the sessions that we do, the energy work that we do, then there's a part of them that's still curious. There's a part of them that was wanting, want some answers to some
Yeah.
questions. So
And in my bias, not only my bias, I will say to them that there's a part, their healthier self wants the spiritual development we have to offer them. It
yeah,
wants the emotional and physical health we have to offer them. And so that healthier part of them is saying, I'm ready because doing it the way I've always done it doesn't work. That's why I'm here.
yes,
Right.
yes, there's a
And
reason.
so I can leave because you're all wrong and go do what I've always done and stay where I've always stayed and then try to find somebody else who
Yes,
agrees with me and allows me to stay there, which makes no sense at all. All
no,
right.
absolutely.
So I'll always say, let's talk to your healthier side. And then they'll laugh at me and my obnoxiousness and they'll say, all right, let's go with that. And then they'll start looking at their healthier side. Yeah.
Well, this has been delightful. We didn't really talk a lot about leadership, but I know that you are a visionary leader and you are a visionary guide for leaders. So can
Correct.
you give us just some of your wisdom around how you guide leaders into today's
Absolutely.
world?
Absolutely, and I'll make that very brief to respect your time. What I do is when I work with my folks, as because I am a life and business coach, when
Hmm.
I work with my clients, they all take a leadership self-assessment tool I developed, and I've
Oh,
given you a
yes.
link to my leadership
Yes. And that's
self-assessment.
your gift that you're offering people. That's
Right,
beautiful. Thank you.
right. What I've discovered is that and this is over 25 plus years of working as a psychologist, and then 19 years as an educator, and then all of my years as a coach, last 18 years as a coach. And that what I have discovered is that there are 5 styles of leadership, and we possess all 5, but in varying proportions. We may have
Mhm.
70% of one, 20% of another, and then 2 or 3 of the others, right? And so that defines our unique leadership style. I believe every one of us on this planet is called to leadership. Now,
Yes.
that may be leadership of ourselves, leadership of our home, leaderships of our business, whatever it may be. And this is the creative leader. They are the ones who are more present in the spiritual world than here, and they are filled with ideas. If you have a company, they can think of 14 different ways you can utilize your content. They have all kinds of things they can do. They may be useless at implementing, but they have amazing ability to come up with wonderful creative ideas to help you implement. Then there is the team leader. And these, the creative, if you will, their strength is they see the 360-degree view of everything.
Right.
They are very
Mhm.
spiritually detached and
Mhm.
holy spiritually. They have great psychic vision, great intuition, great skill sets, right? Their vulnerability is that they live in existential fear more times than
Mhm.
not. All right. Then
Mhm.
there's the team, and they're because nobody's home. They're the ones that tend to walk into things. They lose their keys all the time. They lose their glasses all the time, and all those types of things. Then there is the team leader Who is that one that brings people together? And whatever your weaknesses are, they're going to match you with somebody whose strength is in that area. So together you make a great team. And they are the folks that also, they create the dinner routine when somebody is sick in the neighborhood. They get everybody together. They bring the birthday parties to the office and so forth. When they are in their fear and defense, they are very needy. They are the ones that just can suck you dry in 10 minutes when they live in that fear indeed, defend itself. And they have more conditions such as diabetes or addictions, whether it's food addiction, drug addiction, anorexia, bulimia, whatever it may be. And then you have the supportive leader who never wants to be the CEO or the COO, but they want to have the back of the CEO. Now, they may have 100 people underneath them and they're comfortable with that, but they don't want to be the face of the company. They want to support the face of the company. They are absolutely unconditionally loving. They are present and unconditionally loving, non-judgmentally with everybody. Right. And so they are loyal, they are hardworking. They'll stay up with you to 3 a.m. to finish a project if it needs to be done. Right. When they are in their defense and vulnerable, they do masochism marvelously. They don't know how to say no. They give themselves away and they betray themselves constantly. Their disease,
obviously don't practice self-care.
They don't do self-care at all. And their diseases are more like breast cancer. They have stomach disorders. They generally eat standing up because they're so busy taking care of everybody else. So there really is no self-care that goes there. And then the fourth style is a visionary leader. They may not have a creative thought in their mind, but they can take the vision of your company and they could sell it to anybody and everybody. They have so much charisma. They're great speakers. They have great charisma, great charm. People want to be around them because of their personality and their style. And yet they can sell everything for you. They may have 2% of the creative, but that doesn't matter. They believe in what you're doing and they can sell what you're doing for you, right? And when they're in that strength, they are they are what we think of as a leader. That we've been trained to believe as a leader. And what happens when they're not in their higher self, when they're in their defense, they're much more manipulative, they're much more seductive, they're much more controlling, they're intimidating, and it's my way or the highway is very much their defensive. They tend much more towards heart attacks and strokes and so forth. And then the last one is the organizational leader who could be in a room with no windows. They love everything you're doing. The more you create, the more they get to write procedures and protocols. Procedures, they are the architects, they are the CPAs, they are the folks that want to do black and white. This is how it goes, this is what we do, and they create it. And their strength, they are wonderfully organized, wonderfully structured, and they really help things flow beautifully. They create patterns and allow things to work beautifully in the office or at home, anywhere in their lives. When they are in defense, they become extremely rigid. It's not my way.
They want to protect what they've created.
Just what they've created. Your room can be a disaster. They don't care. They will not be one pencil out of place in their place. They are perfectly organized and structured together. They have many more issues with circulation, with constipation, with things with lung disorders, because they really don't even take up space. Their lungs don't expand, so they have more tendency to lung disorders. So when you look at all of this and you can understand how you lead, every one of us has all of these, as I said, in different proportions. And so notice, what's your vulnerability? Where do you go when you're defended? And all you have to do is recognize that and create habits, create patterns that support you coming from the strengths of your style rather than the vulnerabilities of your style. Again, back to emotional intelligence. Right?
Well, thank you so much for describing them. I'm excited to go and do and take the assessment.
Please do.
Yes. And I really appreciate the fact that you were able to really break that down, break the different styles of leadership. I've heard of other different styles of leadership, but the way you just described the ones that you do or that you have in your assessment, make perfect sense. Definitely from an energy point of view as well.
Always from an energy, because it's the energy, how you impact.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
All righty.
Well,
Thank you so very much.
you are so welcome. Delightful to have you on today and talking about transformation and the work that you do. So yes, we want to let people know that we are out to heal the world. We have a big ask, so please,
Right.
when you watch this program and this podcast, share it with your community, share it with your loved ones, share it with your family and your friends and your colleagues. Let people know that we do have this amazing hub of holistic practitioners. So if there's people that you're connecting with who are looking for ways to be well and stay well on their health journey, please introduce them to the Healing Institute and have them come and interact with the holistic practitioners. So you got to meet another fabulous healer today, Dr. Dorothy. Thank you so much for being here. It was
Thank
lovely
you.
to have you. And thank you, Marie, for popping in again. We'll see you next week on Heal the World Show podcast.
All righty. Bye-bye.